Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, we take a deep dive into PPC and profitability. Now, the reason we're recording this episode is Ken has been running PPC for a couple of our portfolio companies, and I have been hyper-focused on profitability. We have had a very healthy push and pull relationship as Ken tries to manage ACoS and I manage profitability. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. Ken, what is going on, man?
David, how are you, man? I'm glad to be in the podcast studio if I can talk today. But yeah, PPC, profitability, TACoS, you and I have been working on this a lot lately, getting this stuff dialed in, and I'm excited to share with the audience kind of what we've been working on and some things that are working for us. And, the end game is profits, right? That's what we're all after, and that's kind of what we're hyper-focused on.
Absolutely. And included in this episode, we're going to do a real-life case study from one of our portfolio companies, walk you through the P&L through three phases of that company, and really looking forward to diving into it. So, what we're going to be covering is TACoS. That's right. You heard me correctly. TACoS. We'll be learning what that is. We're going to talk about several methods that you can implement to decrease TACoS. Then we're just going to really get into profitability and what I'm looking at on a monthly basis and what Ken and I are looking at on a monthly basis when we get our P&Ls back in order to optimize and better manage for profits. So, as I mentioned before, TACoS. This is an extension of ACoS. So ACoS is ACoS. That stands for Advertising Cost of Sale. And this is going to be how much you spend on advertising per dollar of revenue you make. It can also be as a ratio of ad spend in contrast with target sales. All right, now TACoS, in my opinion, this is ACoS's cooler older brother. This means advertising spend relative to total revenue generated. And so just an easy example, say you have ad spend of $2 and you have ad revenue of $10. You're going to have an ACoS of 20%. Now, on the TACoS example, say you have ad spend of $2 and you have ad revenue of $10 and organic revenue of $10, right? So now we are at a 10% TACoS. And so we're going to be diving into why this metric is really important. But as I have progressed in my e-commerce career, I have started to pay a lot more attention to TACoS and its impact on the business as opposed to ACoS. So before we dive into our examples, I think PPC advertising is an example of the free markets at work. And so we'll take an example of like a leprechaun loincloth, right? This is our example, leprechaun loincloth. You're going to sell it for $15. It's going to cost you $5 to source, and you're going to have $5 in Amazon fees. So that's going to leave you with $5 left over, or a 33% profit margin. Now, if you think of anything that's manufactured, if you drill down deep enough, you almost always get back to commodities. So for instance, a leprechaun loincloth, as everybody knows, takes two commodities, rope and cloth, right? And so if you drill down deep enough, you're going to get to commodity type prices. And then you're going to have some fluctuations in labor, but what I would say is that most leprechaun loincloths would be manufactured between $4 and $6. The best manufacturer in the world could do it for $4, and maybe the worst could do it for $6, but it's a pretty tight range. And so, what I have found is that as we're bidding on keywords, if your profit margin's around 33%, a lot of the keywords tend to have an ACoS of 33%, which leaves you at breakeven. And, that's something that I've sold at breakeven at a lot of different points in my business. And as we're going to see in the case study that we go to next, that's actually been something that I've been avoiding. And I'm going to go into why I have been avoiding that. But I think this is just, there are two lessons to take away here. One is really know your numbers, right? Know your break-even point. And two, be aware that the free markets are at work. There's a fixed supply of keywords, and there's a growing demand of keywords. And so, for instance, I talk about a fixed supply of keywords. You take leprechaun loincloth, for instance. There's only probably somewhere between like 3 to 5 words that really describe this product, right? You've got leprechaun loincloth, you've got very small green bathrobe, you've got shamrock pants, size extra small. But, if you think of any object, right, there's usually only about 10 words, right, that describe it. And so that when I talk about fixed supply, that's what I'm talking about. And, certainly there's a lot of long tail keywords, right? So like St. Patrick's Day clothing, or G.I. Joe green pants, or funny gift for an Irishman, right? These are not going to be high search volume keywords, but there may be an opportunity to bid on these at a little cheaper prices. So anyway, as I was talking about before, I think you really need to know your true break-even point. So, a couple months ago, I went full accounting nerd and built the Firing the Man calculator. And this is a free download. Just go to firingtheman.com/calculator. But this is a spreadsheet that will get you to your true break-even point. And so, going back to our example of this leprechaun loincloth, you talk to your manufacturer. They're going to say, your unit price is $5. And that's an important number to know, but you cannot stop there. There's a lot of additional costs that you need to factor into your purchase to get you to your true break-even point. And so this calculator lays out, and I'll go through a couple of them, but this calculator lays out, every cost I've ever incurred. Some of them I don't incur on every order, but these would include, packaging, product inserts, barcodes, inspections, shipping from the manufacturer to the U.S., shipping fees from port to the Amazon warehouse, tariffs, and any other expenses. And this gets you to like a fully loaded cost. And at this point, you would deduct this fully loaded cost from your selling price, and that's going to get you to your true break-even point. And so, as we're going to see in this example, this metric is really helpful for managing ACoS. And as we work our way down the P&L, we're going to see where TACoS comes in.
Yeah, one thing, David, I want to point out is for all the listeners, this we're going to have a download on the website for this podcast. So all of the graphs, the documents, everything we're referring to, if you go to firingtheman.com/TACoS, TACoS, you can get this download. It has the case study, it has everything we're covering, all the hyperlinks, everything there. So just wanted to cover that real quick. And one point on what you just covered, David, on this calculator, what I'd like to really two things I'd like to highlight. One is knowing your numbers is probably one of the top things you should be an expert at if you're in this business. And two, what I like about this calculator is it breaks down all of your fully loaded numbers, your everything, your break-even point, and then it has a worst, base, and best pricing. And so you can see like, hey, if I can price my product at this, what is my break-even cost? Here is middle of the road, and here is the best case scenario, and it gives a break-even cost for each of those. And something that I've learned as the longer I'm doing this, the more I realize that every product has a life cycle. So there's a launch phase, a maintenance phase, and then there's a declining phase for almost every product. And so if you know what these numbers are before you're going into it, at least you've kind of a rough roadmap of that product life cycle, and I think that's helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that best case, worst case, and base case, because there is a lot of variability here. So, if you start at the top at sales price, when I launch a product, I usually have a sales price in mind. Sometimes I increase it, sometimes I decrease it, but generally the price I launch at is not the price I'm going to have at the end of year one or at the end of year two, right? And you just kind of got to, split test and see what produces the most profit. The other variability there is in shipping, right? We've run into this in our own businesses where, we're having inventory restrictions at warehouses. And so instead of sea shipping, we need to air ship. And that is currently about 4 or 5 times more expensive.
It's currently impossible.
Yeah. I was quoted $11 per kilo the other day, which is bananas. And so, that is wildly different than sea shipping at $2 per kilo. And so, anyway, I think that's a good reason to analyze, at least a worst case and a best case, because we get into this, we're always optimistic, right? As entrepreneurs, we're optimistic, but sometimes things don't always pan out, and it's good to know your numbers through a couple different lenses.
Yeah, a lot of variables that we can't control. Competition, shipping, lots of things that impact it.
Absolutely. So for those of you that are tuning in just in your car or just listening to this, I'm going to do my best to walk you through an income statement. If you're sitting at a desktop, you ought to open up this slide deck, firingdemand.com/TACoS, and flip to this slide called Know Your True Breakeven Point. But here we go. I'm just a forewarning, I am going full accounting nerd on this one, but I hope it's helpful. So at the top of your P&L, you've got total income, right? This is just the sales coming into your company. The next line item you have is cost of goods sold, right? So this is going to be the cost of your product, the shipping costs, everything it takes to get your product into sellable form. Now, when you take income minus cost of goods sold, that gets you to gross profit. And so in this example, we're looking at a gross profit of 43%. Now, some people would look at that and say, all right, that's my break-even point. But as you work your way down this P&L, you've got other expenses. And this is what we call operating expenses. So this is going to be, the cost of photography. This is going to be the cost of any employees that you have, your owner's compensation, miscellaneous office supplies, etc. And so, in this example, we're starting with a gross profit of $23,000, but then we have another $14,000 of expenses that we need to deduct to get us to net income of $9,000. All right, now that net margin, net income divided by total income, is 17%. And this is where we establish our range. At the high end, and this is our strategy, Ken and I's strategy. Our range on PPC for ACoS is going to sit somewhere between our net margin and our gross margin. So in this example, between 17% and 43%. All right, so and here's the reason that we've established this range. So if our gross margin is 43%, and we have an ACoS of 43%, all of those sales we're breaking even on. However, the company still has additional expenses, and you are not breaking even on the net. You are just breaking even on those sales. And so you're going to need to earn organic revenue, which will produce organic net income to cover your operating expenses. And so this is something, I see a lot of people fall into this. You can spend a ton of money on PPC and it not be fruitful, right? You could have $1 million business with $5,000 net income, right? And that kind of goes back to the free markets at work. And so anyway, I think this knowing your true break-even point and then setting ACoS goals and then monitoring and measuring them on a daily or weekly basis is really important. So we're going to turn the page into our case study. And this case study starts back in January 2019, and it extends through today. So this case study is broken down into 3 phases. The first is the launch, the second is the struggle, and the third is dialed in. And each one of these phases is several months. So for instance, phase 1, the launch, this is going to run from January 2019 to December 2019. During this time, average monthly revenue was $14,000. We had a gross margin of 31%. We had a very low net margin. So this would be net income, 4.8%. And we had TACoS, right? So this is going to be PPC spend divided by total revenue of 13%. And so, as I look through this P&L in most months, we're going to have somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 of revenue, and if you look at net income, it is generally around $1,000. Pretty low. And so this was an instance where I was self-managing PPC. We were doing a lot of break-even sales, and my TACoS wasn't quite dialed in. So anyway, if I look at that 12-month period and I graph out my net margin, right? This is going to be net income divided by revenue. And then I'm going to graph out TACoS. And what we see is that TACoS, that line is always above net margin. And as we see, in the next phase, these lines are going to flip. And so, let's switch over to phase 2. This is going to be January 2020 to July 2020. Now, keep in mind, this was the pandemic. May was the best month that this business has ever had. Did $62,000 of income. But during this time, during these 7 months, average monthly revenue was $31,000. We had gross margin of 35%, so stepping up a little bit. Net margin was 6.2%, so again, stepping up a little bit, but a high TACoS. TACoS was 17%. And so, if you look at most of these months, net income is, $1,400, $1,200, $105. In April, we did negative $65 in net income on $33,000 in total income. Really, the only month that performed well was May, and this was kind of an anomaly month. And so here I was spending a lot. I had hired an agency. We had not gotten things dialed in, and I was really spending a lot on PPC. And so, from a revenue standpoint, you may look at this and say, hey, this is a really good business, but you get down into net income and there's not a lot of meat on the bone. And so, again, as I graph out my net margin versus my TACoS, my TACoS, that line is hovering well above, TACoS is hovering well above net margin. And so, as we get into phase 3, and this is the dialed in phase, what we're calling this. This is an 8-month period stretching from August 2020 through March 2021. Here we're still seeing good increases in average monthly revenue. Gross margin is at 42%. Net margin is at 23%. And this is the real key. This is why we do this, is to earn net income to either pay ourselves or reinvest into the business. And what I want to really highlight here is TACoS was 9%. And, every company's different, but this is, for this company, this is optimal, in my opinion. And, as we look at ad spend over the life of this account, it really hasn't increased that much. In the early stages, when monthly revenue was, $14,000 or so, we had ad spend of like $2,500. Today, we're doing average monthly revenue of around $50,000. Ad spend's about $4,000, and so we've really limited spend there. We've picked up on what long tail keywords convert well, but we're no longer going after that break-even sale. And when I meet with my PPC manager, I instruct them 22% ACoS, and you compare that to my gross margin of 42%. I am not selling at break even at all. I mean, all of my PPC sales are funding my operating expenses, and so anyway, long journey. Ken, you were along for the ride for some of this, and this started back in 2019. This case study, the business had started about 2 years prior to, but wasn't really putting up any serious numbers. But it took a while to really get this dialed in. And it wasn't until I started measuring TACoS that I really could measure from month to month, hey, what looks good for this business? And so, going to this graph, here we now have our net margin exceeding TACoS. And, this graphically, with net margin sitting higher than TACoS, this represents to me a profitable company. Anyway, I hope that helps. I feel like a lot of times with PPC, people talk in, they don't use real life examples, so I hope applying hard numbers to this aids in understanding. So, Ken, I'm going to kick it over to you to dive a little bit deeper into TACoS. You were the one that introduced me to this, so looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into that, just a little bit of on that case study. That was it's excellent to see actual numbers, an actual case study on a brand and the struggles, and but kind of like pull back the curtain, like what's behind the curtain, and it's kind of been amazing watching you kind of pull these levers and dial profitability in. And yeah, it's a good case study to look at and notice that it takes a long time. Like, this isn't done overnight. You don't say, like, come in and say, oh, I'm going to fix this overnight. PPC is done over the long term. PPC takes a long time to get it dialed in. Profitability as well, especially in this Amazon ecosystem that we're playing in largely. Okay, so switching gears a little bit here, we're going to talk about TACoS first, and David kind of defined TACoS earlier on, and yeah, the slide I'm looking at here has a picture of 5 tacos, and it's making me hungry. I love tacos. But anyway, so what is a good goal for TACoS? So we say, okay, hey, this is what TACoS is. What is a good goal? What should we aim for? And so, David and I, we kind of have our target TACoS range around 10%, plus or minus 2 as we're dialing things in. And, if you have a new product launch, if your products are seasonal, this is gonna go up and down a little bit, but 10% is kind of what we target for TACoS. And just to give you, I'm a numbers guy, I'm a visual, and so just at a high level, if you had $100,000 in total sales, you have $40,000 in ad revenue. At a 25% ACoS, that would be $10,000 in ad spend, and then $60,000 in organic revenue. That would be a TACoS of 10%. So just at a high level, so you can kind of visualize that. And based on an average price of a $20 product with a decent margin, a standard margin, you would have between $12,000 and $15,000 in profit. So for the visual, for the high level, that kind of breaks it down into the numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah, that when what I'll say is, we have a company-wide goal right now of TACoS at 10%. And that stretches across, several different brands. I'm thinking of one that's very seasonal, one that is lower price point, one that's higher price point. And, I say that it is not a one-size-fits-all. You got to measure it, and you got to look at it on a monthly basis. But I will say is that general starting point of 10% has been a good fit for all of the companies that we're managing right now.
Yeah, no, that's excellent input, and you can't fit every brand into a box or every product into a box. You can have a kind of a target, a goal, and you might have to adjust it as you go, and because you figure out, hey, this is not working, or this is not possible, or we need to adjust this. No, that's great. So moving on, how do we control TACoS? There's a couple different levers that we can pull. You can increase organic sales, and you can improve your PPC efficiency, which is measured in ACoS. Basically, you're spending less money and you're increasing your sales with PPC efficiency. So those are the 2 levers that you can control TACoS with. 2 of the levers you can control TACoS with. So how do we increase organic sales? Several ways. We're going to go over a couple of them that I believe it should be kind of at the top of the list. And my favorite is to increase your conversion rate, because I think increasing conversion rate is like a sleeper. I think not a lot of people focus on it, and I think it has more impact on almost anything you do in your business. It's that 80-20 rule. 80% you're going to get by increasing your conversion rate. And so I think the more time you can spend on that is my favorite one, is the one that I like to look at the most and pull levers on. And conversion rate on Amazon, the target should be 15 to 20%. If you're below 10%, you've got a conversion rate issue. If you're above 20, you're probably okay. You can always increase it. If you haven't been focusing on it, I would definitely try to increase it. But your target range, 15 to 20% is what you should be aiming for minimum. The second one here is to increase organic sales. Yeah, keyword ranking. And this one here is this one is a bit tricky because I think you can get sucked into a lot of shiny object syndrome, a lot of these services, a lot of different ways to rank keywords that can annihilate your profits. So this one here, monitor your keyword ranking, and we'll get into more ways to pull levers on keyword ranking. But keyword ranking, if you're organically ranked really high with the keyword, you're going to get organic sales, which is going to pull the lever on TACoS. The last one here that we're going to cover is driving organic traffic to Amazon. If you can send organic traffic to Amazon, you're going to get more organic sales. That means you're not paying for traffic to go to Amazon. It's organic or free. So, what is conversion rate? Where to find it? So we discussed, the target conversion rate, 15 to 20% should be your goal. And where to find that on Amazon and Seller Central is you go to reports, business reports, and unit session percentage. That is going to be your conversion rate. And that, go if you're at your desktop right now, go pull those, look at them and see what you got. Pull the reporting if you got lots of products, and that this is the number that you want to focus on. Again, it's the reports, business reports, a unit session percentage is where you're going to find your conversion rate for your ASINs. So talk about, like I said, I'm a visual learner. I like to talk about numbers and kind of look at things from a high level. So I have an example here. Why is conversion rate so crucial? Let's say listing A has a $20 product. Your profit margin, $7. You get 100 visitors to the listing with a 5% conversion rate. So you have total sales of $100 with a profit of $35. Not bad, right? If you have a conversion rate of 10%, if you tweak it, pull some levers, get your conversion rate from 5% to 10%, those same 100 visitors, you're going to have a total sales of $200 and $70 in profit. So you are going to double your profit just by increasing your conversion rate. You're doing nothing else. The same 100 visitors, doubling your profit. That's why I really, really like conversion rate and think it's a sleeper.
The thing I love about this example is to get you from that $35 in profit to $70 in profit, it costs you nothing. So for instance, this change could have been triggered by someone goes to your listing. They have a question about sizing. They don't find it in the first 10 seconds, so they move on to the next one. If you were to move an image from, say, the 8th position to the 2nd position that has a sizing chart that's more helpful to your shopper or to your customer, that could increase conversion rate, right? I mean, I know there are some times that I'm shopping and I just give up. It's I don't have the 30 seconds. I'm just going to look at the next one. In fact, I did this on a space heater the other day. And so anyway, great example. And, we talk a lot about PPC spend. Little changes like this, they don't cost anything and really deliver value to the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my last note here. Conversion rate impacts organic as well as PPC sales. So just by increasing your conversion rate, your PPC is just naturally going to get more efficient because you're going to convert more. So same thing, organic and PPC. So conversion rate will impact both. So that's why it's at the top of my list. Now let's get into how can you increase your conversion rates. We're going to go over a couple of them here, kind of some easy ones, and most of these are free. Some of the top ones that I think move the needle the most, and Amazon, they have this new. It's pretty new. It's called Amazon Experiments, and it's under Amazon Experiments. It's brands and manage experiments. You have to be brand registered. If you're not, go get brand registered. You're going to get a lot of benefits from that. So you can split test main images, and that is probably one of the top ones I would recommend doing. like David just mentioned, as he was shopping for a space heater, he was looking around on all these and he kind of just gave up. So, if that space heater, if that main image, kind of had whatever he was looking for, or, versus whatever it had, maybe he would have converted into a sale. And so, split test those main images. If you have main image, if you have high quality photography, or if you're going to launch a new product, just toss in another main leading image. Just get 2 or 3 as you're ordering a package of your photos, and then you can kind of split test them as you go. It's not a lot of money, and if you think about it, if you can double your profits just by ordering an extra 1 or 2 images, it's worth it. And on Amazon, it's free to split test them. Prior to that, you had to use a bunch of services or do it manually, and it was kind of a pain in the ass. But Amazon has this new experiments now. Split testing your A+ content, another perk from Brand Registry. It's under Brands, Manage Experiments. Your A+ content, that is a free thing offered to brand registered sellers. You go in and this is A+ is, it is crucial. It has a lot of space on a product detail page. You have a lot of real estate there to kind of cover your product. What are the benefits? How is this going to solve the customer's problem? It's a lot of real estate. So you can split test A+ content for conversions. Next one on the list is if you don't have video on your product listing, go get a video and add it to your product listing. It will immediately increase your conversion rate. I've heard anywhere from 5 to 10%. Obviously, it's different on all products, but this is huge. If you do not have video on your product listings, get a video, put it on there. It's going to help you out. It's going to pay for itself too. And the last one here is you can test your pricing. And I know this is something that it's kind of like people have a fear of whether raising your prices or lowering your prices. The only way to know is to test it. Test it over a 30-day period. Make sure it's not seasonal. Raise your price. Test it over 30 days. Did your sales might go down, but what about your profit? This goes back to knowing your numbers. If you can raise your price, and make more profit, you're definitely going to want to do that.
Ken, one thing I want to point out before we move on is how you phrase that, is test pricing. And I have been guilty of this, where I'll say, I'm selling this for $14.99. I'm going to try out $17.99. And so I'll change it. I won't document it anywhere. I won't look at conversion rate. And then I never really know if it works. And I think as your product catalog grows, it's easier to kind of make these finger in the wind adjustments. And without measuring it, you really don't know. And so anyway, the example of 30 days, that's perfect. We're doing that right now, is we're doing modifications in a 30-day look back, and we're looking at conversion rate and profitability, and really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dive into those for a little bit deeper here. So keyword ranking to boost organic sales. Find your 2 or 3 money keywords to test. Download your reports and look for keywords that you have a high conversion rate for your product. Jump on Helium 10 and look at that keyword. Find the keywords that have low competition or lower competition, and with a decent search volume. If your product's converting well, if there's lower competition for that keyword, and it's got a decent search volume, it is a good keyword to test for ranking. And so what you would want to do, manually trying to rank this one manually with PPC, you isolate the keyword into a separate sponsored product manual exact campaign, and you just increase your bids, monitor, adjust the placement, bid modifiers. You got top of search, product detail page, rest of search. So you can kind of tweak it a little bit there to find what's going to get the cheapest sale on those placements, and then just track your organic ranking, for 30 days and see are those PPC sales, are they moving the needle on the organic ranking of that keyword? And this again, this goes back to, you need to know your numbers, because your break-even cost, and even if you know your numbers, and if you're testing this, and if you see the needle move on organic ranking, you might want to increase it and see if the needle moves again. And again, and then you want to measure your organic sales and your PPC sales, and it's kind of a sweet science, and find that sweet spot where, hey, this we have a lever here we can pull in PPC, organically rank the keyword, and if this is successful for you, then you can rinse and repeat it with new keywords. All right, we're going to deep dive into driving organic traffic to Amazon. So, number one, Amazon posts. If you're not familiar with this, this is Amazon came out with this. I think it was probably 12 to 18 months ago. So it's a fairly older program. It's free. You have to have brand registry, and we've got a link here in the slide deck. Again, you can go get the slide deck from firingdemand.com/TACoS. We have a link here, and also we did a deep dive on a podcast. I think it was episode 8. If you go to firingdemand.com/8, we have a really in-depth podcast on posts. But they're essentially social media posts on Amazon that are free, and they put your posts on other listings, and just taking up real estate. Free advertising is kind of how I look at it. Next one on the list is email. If you have an email list, you cannot drive traffic directly from an email to a product detail page on Amazon, but you can take them to a storefront or a landing page. So if you have a sale, if this is part of your business strategy is to drive your email list to your Amazon listings for Amazon sales, this is a good way to drive organic traffic. Social media, this kind of goes with the Amazon posts. You can repurpose anything on social media on Amazon posts. So really low-hanging fruit there. So your social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you have, content, throw content out there, link them up, promote your products, get that organic traffic over to your Amazon storefront. It's free organic traffic, and also, it could help with rankings. Amazon sees, hey, you're driving external traffic to your storefront, from all of these different channels. And again, you can repurpose those on Amazon posts. So you just go back and get whatever you've posted on, Facebook, Instagram, your other social channels, repurpose that on Amazon posts. Next one, can test paid ads if your margins on your products allow for that. If you have a decent margin, Amazon has a program called attribution, and what that is it is a unique link. And so you go to Amazon attribution, you sign up for this, you get a unique link, and then let's say you're going to run Facebook ads or Google ads to your storefront. You use that unique link on your Google ad, your Facebook ad, and you can track your sales and find out, hey, are these profitable? If you pay $2 a click from Google and you get 200 clicks, and you go to Amazon, you look and say, yep, okay, I got 200 visitors here, and we converted 25 of them into sales. You can do the math and figure out, is that profitable or not? If it is, scale it. If it's not, try something else. But there's another way you can drive organic traffic. Well, you can drive traffic, and if it's profitable, scale it up. Here's one here. This is something that David and I have been working on. It's kind of a bonus one here. Virtual bundles, and this is something new. It's newer on Amazon, a few months old. You have to be brand registered. You can find it under brands, virtual bundles, and what it is, it's an easy way to increase your average order value. So if you have products that are complementary, in my example here is if you have a leprechaun loincloth you sell, you have a leprechaun hat, and you have a pot of gold that you sell, you combine those into a virtual bundle, because if someone's, if they're looking for a leprechaun loincloth, they're likely going to want a leprechaun hat and a pot of gold. Like, who wouldn't want those three? So you combine them together, and now you change your cart value from $20 to $62 with that virtual bundle. Didn't cost you anything, and you increased your organic sales. You don't have to bundle these products together. That you ship them in single ASINs, and Amazon combines them and ships them out to the customer. So kind of bonus one there. Test it, see if it works. It's working for us. It's moving the needle. And the last thing I would say here is anytime you're driving traffic to Amazon, drive the traffic to a storefront landing page. And the reason for this is you're going to weed out the tire kickers and help your conversion rate on product listings. If you send cold traffic to a product listing that like just randomly popped up and said, oh, hey, go check this out. They click over there and look at it. They have no intent to purchase it. You're going to decrease your conversion rate. You're going to hurt your listing. So you have to have that intermediate landing page to kind of weed everything out. And then if they look at it and they're like, okay, yeah, I'm interested in buying this, click on that, then they go and convert. So drive them to a landing page. Our storefront. How to improve PPC efficiency. We touched on this a little bit earlier. So like David mentioned, kind of in that dialed in phase, finding those long tail keywords that have low ACoS, like 7% ACoS, those are sweet. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. If you can find a keyword, you're converting at 7% ACoS, it's profit. It's going to move the needle. It's going to improve your PPC efficiency. Another one here is test new Amazon sponsored ad features. They always are. Amazon is increasing. It's becoming an increasingly pay to play, and they're releasing new ad features all the time. When video ads came out, it was like first in, whoever got their video ads in there, they were converting really well. Not as much anymore, but they still convert. New targeting types. I think there was just a new one they just released. It was like, previous customers who previously purchased this, you can retarget them. Just test all these new ad features. See what works. See what doesn't. You might find something. Early. If you're an early adopter, you're going to find something before everyone else. If you test it, it works. Lastly, here is monitor ACoS and implement adjustments frequently. Use tools, use your automation, use AI, but just be on top of it. PPC is not a set it and forget it. It has to be constantly monitored and tweaked for efficiency. High five and David now.
That's right. One thing that I want to circle back on is less PPC spend tends to lead to some benefits, right? So we, in the case study in phase one, when we were doing monthly revenue of say $10,000, when we 5x that on the revenue side of things, so from 10,000 to 50,000, ad spend only increased by about 2x, and so I think that you'll see that general trend, right? There's only so many keywords you can bid on, and there's only so many good keywords that you can bid on, and so anyway, I am an advocate of less PPC spend. And so, one thing I think is worth noting is for any active Amazon sellers that are living in this right now, inventory has been a nightmare in 2021. It started back in May when we couldn't send things in. Now we're going through inventory restrictions and we're being held to this IPI score. And it just has been very challenging. And so, I don't think there's a better time to tighten down PPC spend than right now. We've got a lot of products that are selling well, but due to current inventory restrictions, we cannot replenish that inventory. And so, will slowing down PPC spend slow down sales? Yes. But, it's just gonna make inventory management easier, and so again, there's also been supply chain disruptions, with the pandemic, and so it's made getting inventory more challenging. And so anyway, I think as you're listening to this, if you've been less than satisfied with your PPC performance, I would advocate kind of a slash and burn approach to where you're really trying to decrease ACoS. Yes, your sales are going to go down. No, it's not exciting to open the Amazon seller app and see that monthly sales, trailing 30-day sales is down 20%. But when that P&L shows up and the net income is higher, that's the name of the game. So, I also want to talk about thoughts on outsourcing PPC. So I have hired and fired more PPC managers than any other position in my company. Have went through 2 agencies. I've had 2 VAs do it. I used Sellex back in the day, and I've learned some lessons from all of that. And so, as Ken mentioned, PPC is not a set it and forget it thing. And so, if you are going to, be actively managed in it, it's going to take a significant amount of time every week, in my opinion, to do it well. And so I do, for one of our brands, outsource it. We do manage some of them internally. But one lesson that I've learned on outsourcing PPC is having weekly meetings at least, talking to them about ACoS, TACoS, and, trying to get their goals aligned with your goals. And, that leads me to my next point is I show my PPC manager my P&L. And the P&L is, that's a report card for the business. And, some people are kind of private about this. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm not afraid to share it with him, right? Obviously, it's confidential. But, when we look at net income month to month, and then we look at ACoS and TACoS, it really paints the picture of, for this business, ACoS needs to be between 22 and 25%. And TACoS needs to be hovering around 10%. And so, that's been another thing, just a valuable lesson learned. And then I would say the last thing is, if you have a PPC manager and you are thinking about switching to another one, and I've went through this with every switch, the new manager always says, "Oh yeah, I need to overhaul your campaign structure. Yes, you've been running ads for 2 years, but I'm going to disregard all of those campaigns and I'm going to do it my way. And we're going to run auto campaigns and it's going to take 3 months to get dialed in." And that's a frustrating point when you switch. And I always feel like, listen, can you just, utilize some of the current data that we have and use the current campaign structure? And so if you're interviewing a PPC manager, that would be something I would ask them is, do you need to overhaul my campaign structure? Are we starting from scratch, or can we leverage old data, that will be valuable in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the most crucial points that you made was, talking with, if you're outsourcing it, talking with them about making sure their interests are aligned with yours in terms of ad spend and profitability. Like, if they're charging based off of percentage of ad spend, which I know a lot of agencies do, and that's not aligned with profitability. And so, making sure that your interests are aligned, you sharing the P&L with them, that's huge. And just bringing that out so it's not they're not misaligned and they're just kind of going to the bin with PPC sales. So I think that's helpful. All right, moving along. Next topic we're going to talk about, and it is probably one of the most crucial topics to talk about, is profitability. And why is profitability important? Your business is an asset and it should be managed as an asset. The rough valuation of an Amazon business with $1 million in sales and a 10% net profit of $100,000, the valuation today would be about $350 to $400K. Now, this is an example that I really like to kind of bring to light about why you should focus on profitability. The rough valuation of the same Amazon business with $1 million in sales and a 20% net profit of $200,000 is $700,000 to $800,000. That's double, just from the focusing on profitability. Huge. All right, now, how do we increase profitability? Know your numbers, decrease your expenses, increase your pricing, focus on TACoS. Do not focus on top line revenue. That's a trap, common trap to fall in. I have fallen in that trap. Drive organic sales and recover money from Amazon, one of my favorite ones. So let's talk about know your numbers. Knowing your numbers is crucial. We've talked about this 2 or 3 times throughout this show. It is crucial to the success of your business. I would start there, hands down. David, he went full out CPA nerd, created this calculator. It's a free download. Go to firingdemand.com/calculator. Free resource. Go grab that. It's huge. Free. Free stuff's great. One quick story to share. The book that David and I work with, she's been in this business for over 20 years. And the first 6 months I was working with her, I asked her questions here and there, and she shared with me, she said, this is something I want to share with you. It's very impactful. And she said, I can't tell you the amount of e-commerce sellers, not just Amazon, but e-commerce in general, that pound their chest about selling, I sell, 6 figures, or I sell 7 figures. She said, when you peel back the curtain and look at the books and the P&Ls, they don't lie. P&Ls don't lie, books don't lie. And she said, there is a very, very alarming number of sellers who are losing money. And she said it's staggering. She told me a story about this seller. He the particular year, he had sold over $3 million. And when he got his books for the end of the year, he had lost almost $500,000 and was in debt and was at the end of his rope. And this is crucial. So focus, know your numbers. Don't fall into the traps. Decreasing expenses. This is something, I have shiny object syndrome. David would tell you that. If you're looking at the slide deck here, we've got the Lambo with the big red X in it. Hold off. Review your P&L statements monthly. Take a look at your books, your expenses, and remove any shiny objects. I have shiny object syndrome. I always have. I see software. I get put into a trap by all these marketers. Oh, this software is going to do this. This software is going to do that. Oh, this service, this whatever. Watch out for that. Go through your books every month. Look at them. Look at the line items and say, okay, is this adding value to my business? If it's not, get it out of there. See if you can, the next one here is synergies between software. If you have multiple softwares, if you're an advanced seller, if you're just starting out, you likely have softwares that overlap. They have overlapping features and benefits. See if you can combine them into one and remove the other one. That goes directly to profits. And then something we've talked about earlier on, decrease your wasted ad spend. If you're selling break even on a keyword and you have other keywords that are at 7%, 10%, 11%, stop selling at break even and go find long tail keywords where you can be profitable on. Lots of ways to decrease ad spend. That's just one. Increase your pricing. We talked about this earlier. Increase your pricing on and monitor for profitability. You have a $20 product, $5 profit per sale. You have 10 sales, it's $50 in profit. If you raise the price on that to $25, you make $9 profit per sale. Your sales could go down. What if your sales went down from 10 sales to 7 sales? You would still have $63 in profit. $13 more than that one. So raising your prices can bring you more profit. You have to test it out. All right, moving on. Focus on TACoS. We covered this. We touched on it a little bit earlier. Increase your organic sales. Improve PPC efficiency. Those are your 2 levers. This is crucial. Do not focus on your top line revenue. This is the trap we talked about earlier. It is an ego. There's chest pounding and ego. Oh, I'm an 8-figure seller. I'm a 7-figure seller, a 6-figure, whatever it is. That top line revenue, it doesn't mean anything. It's profits. Top line revenue does not pay the bills. Top line revenue does not set the bar for the value of your business. Profits pay the bills and set the bar for the value of your business. Remember that. Driving organic sales, we covered that one and in depth earlier. Moving on here, so recovering money from Amazon. This is something that I thought I was doing a great job for a really long time. I was using just a service that came along with one of the softwares that I had, and I didn't think much of it. ran into, I discovered this service, Gatita, and it's been pretty amazing. Gatita specialize in recovering money from Amazon. Every dollar you recover from Amazon goes directly to your bottom line, net income. And Amazon is a massive company, and they do not audit your account. They're holding your money. Gatita takes 5 minutes to set up. You have an account rep assigned to your account, filing cases on your behalf, going back to Amazon, battling for your money. And Gatita only charges you a fee after they recover money for your account. It's a win-win. David and I have been using Gatita for about 6 months, and we've recovered over $20,000 on top of what we would have prior. We have a disclaimer. We have an affiliate link with Gatita for a Firing the Man podcast. It's going to get you $400, your first $400 in refunds for free. There's a link in the slide deck. You can use coupon code FTM400 on Gatita's website.
Yeah, Ken, that's been one. Usually they say if it sounds too good to be true, it is. But if I look at the amount of time we've invested in recovering that $20,000, it has been minimal, less than an hour probably. So, all right. Well, one last pro tip that I'm going to leave you with to wrap out this episode, and as the kids are saying these days, if you know, you know. Typically, when you set up your Amazon account, they are going to deduct your PPC charges from the payments that they make you. However, if you go into account info, charge methods for advertising, and change payment method, that is going to allow you to put a credit card in there, and really no impact on how PPC functions. However, we have found it is called the Chase Inc. Business Preferred, and they give you 3% back on all search engine advertising. And yes, that does mean Amazon PPC. And so, we talked about the difference between, say, an ACoS of 28% and 25%. Well, hey, there's your 3% discount. And so, in my opinion, if you're not using a tool like this, you're leaving money on the table. And so, in this slide deck, we have a link to this specific card. And if you do click on that link, you're going to help Ken pay his electricity bill or buy me a bonsai tree for the studio.
Excellent. So to wrap up the episode here, if you only have time, there was a lot of content in this episode. If you only have time just to do a couple of these, the top 3 items that David and I would recommend is number 1, TACoS. Go find what your TACoS percentage is and focus on improving it. Number 2, sign up for Gatita. Get your money back from Amazon. They owe you money. Trust me, it takes 5 minutes, and it's going to deliver profits for the duration of your Amazon selling account. Again, that's coupon code FTM400. It's going to get you $400 and your first $400 in reimbursements for free. Lastly, David just covered, charge your PPC spend on a credit card. That's going to make you money. It's going to go to your bottom line. We have a referral code in the slide deck. Again, you can get this entire slide deck, firingtheman.com/TACoS.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next time.